So much has happened since I last saw you. I lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh.
Hey, welcome back to Norse Geek. This video is going to be a little different to my usual video essays, but as I said before, I wanted to do various types of videos on this channel as well, and given the Marvel Studios panel at Comic-Con and the new slate of films for Phase 4 has just been announced, I thought I'd talk briefly about arguably one of the biggest stories that came out from the panel. We're going to have a new Thor. Sort of. It was announced there was going to be a fourth installment of the Thor franchise, directed again by Taika Waititi, given the title Thor: Love and Thunder, and Natalie Portman's Jane Foster appears to be taking on the mantle of Thor. There have of course been the comic book run with Jane Foster taking on the Thor mantle, but I didn't expect to see it in the MCU. Not because it isn't a good storyline or anything like that, I haven't actually read the comic book storyline, but because as far as we were aware prior to this announcement, Natalie Portman's Jane Foster was sort of edged out of the universe. There's always been plenty of talk surrounding the breakdown in relationship between Portman and Marvel Studios, primarily after Patty Jenkins, who was originally slated to do Thor: The Dark World, left the project. After that movie, barring a brief couple of mentions of the character, it seemed as though she had been seamlessly moved out of Thor's story, with them having broken up off screen and didn't appear in the massively successful Thor Ragnarok. However, what was interesting was when it came to the movie premiere of Avengers Endgame, Natalie Portman was at that event. It seemed to be quite a surprise for most people, myself included, and much to my surprise again, we ended up seeing her in Avengers Endgame when travelling back in time to the events of Thor: The Dark World. After the movie and a bit of digging, I found out, and I could be wrong if I've missed something since, that this was unused footage from Thor: The Dark World. So again, with this and the appearance at the Endgame premiere, this led me to think maybe the relationship with the studio wasn't entirely broken, but I still didn't expect to see her in any more movies. And then this news is announced, so what's my opinion, I hear nobody ask? Well, I'm excited. I actually really like Jane Foster. She wasn't always given a lot to do, admittedly sidelined to a few sciencey bits and mostly used as Thor's love interest, but I thought Natalie Portman always did a stellar job with what she had. I particularly enjoyed her performance as Jane in the first Thor movie, as this kind of plucky scientist that was searching for something that seemed a bit of a joke to everyone else. I thought it made her charming and a great foil to Thor's initial blunt-headedness, if that's even a word or phrase. And as an actress, I think Natalie Portman is awesome. She's an unbelievable talent, and we've seen moments of her act like a badass. She definitely has a comedic bone too that's underrated, and given that Waititi's returned to direct the next installment, I expect to see Natalie Portman show a lot of what we haven't seen her do. She'll be funny and a badass. And we saw glimpses of Chris Hemsworth's humour as Thor prior to Ragnarok, but that movie really unleashed the world to Hemsworth's comedic chops. We knew he could play a kick-ass Norse god, but his comedic talent as an actor really shined through, and I expect to see the same from Portman's Jane Foster, who's taking up the mantle of Thor. I saw a while back that Chris Hemsworth was interested in doing another Thor movie post-Endgame if Waititi was directing again, and I'm so pleased to see that we're going to be seeing more of him as Thor. I wonder if perhaps this movie will be his last one in a passing of the torch kind of role. I don't mean that he'll be relegated to a side character, but it's possible we'll see him handing over that particular role to Jane Foster. As we saw in Ragnarok, which was obviously very much Thor's movie, he shared his adventure with Hulk, and this was one of the biggest highlights for me. Hemsworth and Ruffalo bounced off of each other so well, and it made for some of the best moments in the film, inciting the feel of a buddy cop movie, and I'm really hoping to see Jane Foster and Thor do a similar thing. I think there's plenty of room for humour played off by the fact that Jane dumped Thor and he never really got over it, and now she's quite literally his equal in power. I think Thor is going to have a few moments where he's not used to having an equally powerful sidekick. He got a taste of it in Hulk, but as we saw, he never really felt as though Hulk was as strong as him. Most powerful Avenger? Not in his eyes. How it will play out with Asgard being destroyed, something I have no idea whether Jane even knows about, and now it being New Asgard, which is based on Earth, it's going to be pretty cool to see how this plays out with Valkyrie as well, given that she's the new king/queen of Asgard. As far as I'm aware, I think Marvel see Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie as a big part of the Norse aspect of the MCU going forward. All in all, I'm really excited about this. As I mentioned, I'm not too familiar with the story arc of Jane Foster's Thor, so if you've got any thoughts and expectations regarding that, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about what kind of cool stuff she does in that story arc and what you'd like to see, really. But for now, that's my hot take on the news. I'd love to hear yours. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed my hot take, and subscribe if you're new here. I'm nearly at 500 subs now, which is ridiculous. I've said a couple of times before, but I didn't expect to even make 100 subs, so that's kind of crazy. Until next time, have a great evening, day, night, whatever it is where you are. Catch you next time.